Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching us here today. Karen Roby here with Tech Republic and ZDNet, talking with Mick Slattery, he's the president of CompCon. Mick, thanks for being with us here today.
Thank you for having me.
Certainly, we're obviously both in our homes, as this is our new work model right now that we're all
Indeed.
trying to adjust to, and it's awkward, but I think we're all starting to get the hang of it. Talk a little bit about this, where we are right now, how we're all working from home. We've had to adjust. A lot of companies had to really pivot quickly. How do you think it's going so far? And then we'll kind of take it from there as to what's going to happen next.
Well, I think it's, as you said, we've gone through the first phase. We like to call that remote light. IT departments just getting people out there, productive, get them the equipment they need, the connectivity. And over time, I think the users have become more savvy. We've certainly seen this with our own customers with the challenges of working remote. And I think the IT teams have continued to tune around areas like security. Now I think it's time to switch from remote light to remote right. And I think that's predicated on this belief that we are going to have remote work for a long time. And I'd love to share more about that. But this pivot from remote light to remote right, it's more than just technology. There's a tech aspect to it for sure, whether it be the network that people have and how we can leverage things like 5G and other capabilities over time to provide backups. It's device management. Interestingly enough, as we move to home, more work from home, I think it's going to create more choice for users, and I think we're going to see more about bring your own device and which device people want to use, because the model has to change to support remote. And then the interesting thing for me is we have a lot of IT processes that are designed around the office. Onboarding, what happens when your device doesn't work. Even some organizations, some of our clients have been doing walk-up centers and walk-up support. How do you start providing first-class service for users that never show up in the office? These are some of the conversations we're having with customers right now. And as customers continue to shape for this future model, continue to adopt cloud and SaaS solutions, I think they're also going to look at what's the new support model they need for these environments.
Yeah, most definitely, and there's a host of challenges that will be involved with that, Mick. But as you look to, a lot of people talking about, they really think that a hybrid model of sorts will be what most companies, or a lot of companies, will be looking to now that they've gotten through this first phase and gotten people settled. Maybe won't all be heading back into the office. There will be a little bit of a mixture there. Is that what you see happening?
Absolutely. When I think about what the future holds, in one word, it's different. Weeks of sheltering in place and working from home have done more to transform the future of work than open office spaces and new digital technology. The interesting thing for me is if you think about over the past decade, as we've had 5 generations in the workforce, a lot of technology innovation and blending those preferences and ways of work, it created an always-on culture, but it really didn't transform this 9-to-5 workday in the office. I think the unfortunate circumstances that surround the pandemic may have a bit of a silver lining in that we've had to adopt different management frameworks, different ways of interacting with people. I've even seen some put together the new digital etiquette for this work from home time. And it's enabled us to really embrace this, which I think will be huge. So fast forward, I don't know whether it's 6 months, 8 months, but whatever it is, we're going to have people in the office, because some people need structure. Some people need the space. They just aren't well suited to it at home. And the office will still be a hub for face-to-face interaction and collaboration. But at the same time, we're going to see more people work from home. And it's going to go from a perk where we had a few people doing it to something which I think is going to be part of the new normal. It might even be in the same day, work from home in the morning, work from the office in the afternoon. And I think this ultimately is great for employers. I know I'm personally looking forward to it in our business. You're going to be able to attract talent that you couldn't reach before, either because it wasn't next to you, somebody didn't want to move, or people who just physically couldn't commute to the office every day. I think it's going to unleash huge new sections of talent. And the other part that I'm really excited about is I think it's going to create a lot of flexibility for individuals. I call it work-life fusion. I think Satya actually coined that term, but it's going to provide flexibility for people to better balance their work life and their personal life. And I think that'll be a huge benefit for all.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't argue with the fact that we could all use a little bit of balance in our lives. No question about that. Mick, when you talk a little bit about the IT, the difficulties for IT teams here with people being in the office and at home, talk a little bit about security issues and just some of the hurdles that these IT teams will have to overcome. What are CIOs? What do they need to be planning for right now, looking ahead?
Well, yeah, I think there's two things. One is, we've gone from an environment where people were working in offices and airport lounges and co-working spaces to closets, porches, bedrooms. So, it's really changed the game. And we talked about it a little bit at the first part. We've put the basics in place. Now I think we need to create the experience around it. People will need to settle into a new realm of what does it take to be productive. So that's around different support models for folks. It's around different tools to support them. Technically, one of my examples that's happened to some of my coworkers is, unfortunately, your home network dies. People are going to need to think about backups, especially for particular individuals. We're having some conversations right now about how to take the VPN technology to the next level and actually put additional technology out in certain individuals' homes because of the nature of the things they're doing to provide that next level of security. And then I think we're going to have a number of conversations around information security. It's amazing to me the capabilities that many organizations have around device management, around information security, that they don't fully leverage. I'm thinking about, in particular, some of the things with Microsoft 365 and Azure information protection. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that as well, because it's harder to control things when everything's distributed. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that.
Very good. And I think, in closing here, Mick, when you talk about how we were before this started, the idea of working from home, that wasn't a new concept. A lot of tech companies, of course, especially, that was something that they offered, or was the norm for some companies. But for some others, the idea of working from home, that wasn't even anywhere on their grid to even think
Right.
about. So I think one of the interesting things would be to see how this all plays out, is because we had this large spectrum, people were either here. I mean, there was plenty in between, but to get everyone to shift one way or another, it's really going to be interesting. I don't know any better word to say it, to see how it all really does shake out.
Yeah, I think there's the difference in how people manage remote workers. I think we've learned a lot and we'll continue to learn a lot. What's really interesting to me, and we've seen it with some of our customers, is not only where people work, but the nature of their businesses. We had some of our customers who had to shift their business overnight, practically. So I'll give you two examples. We had a not-for-profit that focuses on women in need. And when shelter in place came, they were either going to shut down or they were going to adapt their business. And we helped them enable their employees to work remote, enable their constituents to engage remote, and they were able to continue to provide their services, which was super important. And also healthcare is another one. We had a healthcare customer who had been, all their technology was centered around their hospital, rightly so, but they needed to create a remote clinic for remote diagnosis and additional capacity. And we helped them set that up really quickly. But it wasn't just getting the remote connectivity, it was also then having people be able to work remotely and support that. So when you think about how this will create new opportunities, it's really interesting to think about how not only we will work different, but how we'll consume services differently. And for me, telemedicine is just a classic one of, I think we're seeing a huge surge in that. So it's not only interesting from how we support the technology and how we work, but also what are the new services that are going to emerge that we haven't thought of yet. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely. How we consume it, it's all going to change. No doubt about that. We'll make interesting times, to say the least. I keep using that word, I realize, but it's just every day we realize, that life is really changing, and we won't go back to what was normal. It's just going to be, I guess, a new version of normal.
Yeah, we've used the term every once in a while, business as unusual.
Yep.
But here we are in business as unusual, and one day at a time.
That's right. That's all we can do. Take it one day at a time. Well, Mick, we certainly appreciate you being here with us today. And we have much more on Tech Republic and ZDNet. We hope you will check it out there. Thanks for watching, everybody.